Okay, welcome everybody. I hope that you can see me very well. It's a little bit different daylight today, although in Netherlands it's very sunny today. So I welcome you from Leiden Bioscience Park. My name is Schaap-Oziemlak. I'm a founder and CEO of Bio-Inspired Think Tank, an innovative startup which is localized in Leiden Bioscience Park. And actually, I'm very happy to be located here because this is the biggest and the oldest science park in Netherlands. Even Netherlands, you can imagine, is relatively small. This science park has more than 215 organizations, growing incubator, and a lot of startups and established companies like Johnson & Johnson, but also Galapagos. So after this short introduction, I'd like to give another short introduction regarding my background and why I'm doing these sessions. For those which are joining first time, welcome very much and join. Please also subscribe to support this channel in order to create a brighter future for PhD students and postdocs. So regarding my short professional background, I did a PhD in stem cells and an Erasmus MC in Rotterdam, in Netherlands, and then I followed 4 postdocs in 3 different countries, including Netherlands, Belgium, and Poland. And then I actually decided to step out of the comfort zone, but also thinking about my mindset. We'll talk today about something which is called growth mindset. I decided to start my own company as a scientist entrepreneur and develop collaborative projects. And on the way, I very much realized that to create such collaborative projects, it's important to actually gain and implement into practice coaching skills to lead or co-lead such very often international or interdisciplinary projects. And also learn how to build such collaborative teams. And that actually went down even how to coach. And I realized that I feel that I have also a mission to coach people. And that was very important to enable smooth transition of people from academia to industry. So I talked about, for those which are always following me, I talked about previously about only 0.5% of all PhDs which will become professors. The rest of the people, I think around 80% has to find its way in outside of academia. And I think there it is important to realize that having growth mindset, where PhD thesis or PhD degree is just starting point. And I hope you can see it. I will a little bit turn it, yes, so that you can see it easy. So it's a starting point, becoming a PhD. And starting from there, you can develop further. So for some people, you could think about changing mindset. Those which always thought that after defending PhD, they can stay at university. And the situation appears to be that they can't, for multiple different reasons, but mainly because of temporary contracts and very fierce competition in tenure track. Well, then they have to change their mindset instead of panicking and thinking what I'm going to do now and what's the plan B, right? Think and change mindset from perspective, well, I earned PhD degree, I have skills which allow me thinking now a little bit opposite. And that's why I also became very much agile coach, adaptable, flexible agile coach, where becoming flexible, having flexible mindset is very important. You could think different. You can change the way you think. Like, I earn PhD degrees. I have set of skills, hard and soft, which will help me in transition from academia and industry. And I will be still very much regarded as desired employee by industry. And I will do all my best to do that. But of course, this requires certain, I said, change in mindset, but also certain amount of work. This change doesn't occur without effort. And here, I could give you an example that as much as you apply for the job in industry, and I talk about potential career options within industry previously. Just for a reminder, I can only share with you, this you already can remember, that if you consider the diploma, I don't make too fast movements. If you consider PhD diploma, I talked about several options. Industry, of course. About government, about healthcare, about industry journalism, especially for PhDs, which, you know, during your PhD studies, you actually trained how to write article, how to prepare abstract for conference, how to present data. So there is a lot of how to apply for research grant. So there's a lot of writing skills, training extensively writing skills involved in PhD training. So that's why journalism can be a good option for PhDs which like to, for example, communicate science to the public, for example. And what I didn't mention yet, there is another option, and you could think it's part of industry, but you could also think about becoming and gaining business skills. So becoming entrepreneur, scientist. What I mean here per se, in very concrete way, you can think about setting up your own startup. And to gain, of course, to set up your startup as a procedure, it's very, very easy to set up this in the Chamber of Commerce. But the big pile of requirements, to-do list, comes behind this. So I would not advise you to do it spontaneously. You need to have a vision, you need to have a mission, you need to know what is your know-how, what is missing know-how, what kind of business. You have to basically also prepare a little bit. And to gain the skills, the business skills, knowing if your idea is actually something which can become, we call it a viable business case. So you can develop business. I think it's good to follow programs to develop your idea. At the same time, you could also imagine that if your idea is really great and you want to share it only in very safe environment to develop your business, your idea can be very much relevant to innovation, to develop, for example, solution for a global problem. in health or in biotech. And then you realize, well, I want to first share it within this program in very safe environment so that my competition will not copy paste my idea, which may happen even at early stage. I would think and I would advise you to follow such a program. So now if you would ask me the question about the program, we actually, so together with my business colleague from US, which is executive director of PCK Finney, a global intellectual property law firm, which is dedicated in life sciences, we developed a program, global pre-incubation global ID program for scientists like you, which think about, okay, I can look for the position or job as a scientist, or in other or I already mentioned there are also other possibilities. Or I would like to develop myself as develop my own company, so to set up a startup. And I think to test this idea, it's good to follow such program. So I think that already can create a very different option, more active than passive, for developing yourself, developing your career, setting your own company alone or with somebody, if you have a person which would like to join you. And here it's very important, depending on your personality, decision. Because of course you can always be dependent and look for the jobs which already exist. But you can also take initiative in your own hands and create, in a way, your own job, which is a startup. And you can develop yourself into C-level if you want to be founder, but if you want to be leader, you can develop it further. So creating your own potentially jobs can increase not only your, I would say, unexplored abilities, because many times a lot of this abilities has been not always explored. When we were working, for example, on a contract. But here, having your own startup gives you this, I call it platform, for very growth and very wide development related to skills. So that's a big plus, actually, starting your own startup. And but as I said, you have to be prepared. So the program which I told you about, which would be worth to participate in, we develop such program for scientists in life sciences. And this program is focused, and I'd like to actually, for the moment, tell you a little bit more about this program. Just to give you some insights, we have 20 places for such program. This is online program, so everybody can join across the world from all different countries. And we made it for purpose, so that the program indeed is global, to give this global opportunity to everybody. And share the idea, and together with us, with this program, help to develop this idea further. But also, what I said already, gain the business skills, which are very important. And I think even you, in the end, maybe following this program, you will say, okay, I'm not ready yet, because it's always personal decision to start my own company. These business skills will always be transferable. Business skills are very transferable, so you will always will be very helpful for you when you make transition from academia to industry. These business skills typical business development skills will be always very important since you will work in business-oriented environment. And this program now I'd like to talk a little bit about. So let me yes. So the program which I'd like to talk about, and I maybe will give you some insight. We gave info webinars. These were free of charge webinars this year for 6 months. But I think this is also a very good opportunity when we talk about creating a brighter future for PhD students and postdocs, especially ones which think about setting their own company, to offer such programs so they can really test in safe environment their idea, and they can actually develop it further. So I think that's the whole fun about. So the program which we developed is, as I said, the program developed by serial entrepreneur, American, and me, entrepreneur scientist. And I think my very strong scientific background with PhD for postdocs, I think it's very important next to very essential experience of American entrepreneurship in IP. Because as I said, we want to protect our idea. So our idea, meaning intellectual property. And I'd like to tell a little bit about the program. So the program is created for brighter future in life sciences for all scientists in life sciences, PhD students, postdocs, in general academics. What we decided to develop in this program is three main pillars, which are all were developed with very close values, which like close by our heart, meaning the inclusion. So to really introduce this program to everybody, no matter of a gender, of a color of skin, but also women, to give more women a chance also in Africa, which they have the most limited access to education. In that case, in this online program, they can really experience it. And a continuous improvement. That's more coming from my startup, which is Agile, which is continuous improvement or continuous learning, step by step, gaining lessons, taking them and learning from them and failing fast. That's important also here. Then, as I mentioned to you, we decided to have three pillars of this program. So the first pillar, which is there are workshops, and workshops in terms of team building. What does it mean Agile, and how time efficient? So how Agile can help a company where time is money. In terms help you to actually know how to pitch, but also how to pitch effectively while protecting your idea, how not to pitch, and how to pitch your idea on stage for investor. And I think pitching is very important. I know that you already probably did present or had oral presentations at conferences, but pitching is more, for example, you problem solution frame types of pitching, but we will introduce all these different pitching frames to you, so that you will become very extensively trained during this program while pitching this idea. And this will really, because I think that's what is sometimes communicate science or whatever we do in science to public. And I think this is very important, and I tell you in a moment why. Because, for example, we have projects that we want to have crowdfunding, and we have public. We want to introduce this project, show how important this project is to public. Maybe it's a solution which helps patients, for example, or for example, often. And we want to ask for financial contribution of public, so society. And such, if we prepare pitching for such crowdfunding project, if we use plain language, this is way more successful than using all. Pitching is basically very essential part of entrepreneurship, of business skills. And even when I'm developing different collaborations, sometimes it's also storytelling, but that's slightly different type of pitching. I would say I do pay attention how I pronounce, how our language looks like. I record myself. So that's very important to realize all the elements which are contributing to your performance. In the end, it is performance. Every time you pitch, if you pitch even one big audience, every time you need to practice. And that's also something, even intonation is here very crucial. So this pitching is very, I would say, essential part of activities when you want to develop your company. Because if you are very good performer and you pitch very well, you have high chance to receive funding every time and beat the competition, which doesn't have such good pitching skills. So that's why I today would like to a little bit stress how important, how essential pitching skills are for your startup, but also again for presenting yourself. Even you will not set up the startup, presenting yourself, that's very crucial. Then another type of workshop, which I already mentioned slightly, it's a workshop which is agile, so learning how to work in agile. And first particular workshop, which I already developed with other coach years ago, and also performed this workshop like in Bioscience Park for cross-functional teams, is agile team building workshop. So if you especially have aspirations to not only set up your company, but take a leadership position, knowing how to build a team, how to cast a team, is very important. And especially when we think about the next workshop is about leadership. I strongly believe that our personal qualities are putting strong footprint on type of leadership which we're going to exert or develop. So it's important to shape your leadership based on your personal strengths, and not based on somebody else's type of leadership. So these are the workshops which we're also going to perform. So they will be very interactive and with a lot of practicing online. So I think that's a great part of it. And of course, the next pillar, which is main in to develop, especially your idea in safe environments, to learn about intellectual property, so your idea. And we take perspectives shifting from worldwide. We zoom towards team perspective and leaders perspective. And for this type of program, we have also, for this type of sessions, we have very prominent speakers. We have Dr. Lars Wahlberg, which is serial entrepreneur of patents. We have Peter van Dongen from Dutch Patent Office presenting from team perspective, and from leader strategy perspective, we have representing global IP law and strategy. And I was very happy also that to this group of speakers, prominent speakers, we also invited, and we are very happy. Professor Ezwani Amici, which is a professor of entrepreneurship in Johnson Wales University in United States, in Rhode Island. So that's something about the speakers. So in the end, to summarize, our program is unique because it offers building and gaining business skills in learning by doing. So very interactive way. So it's agile. It's online. And the third quality, which is important, offers workshops which are essential to become successful entrepreneur or startup, which while protecting your idea, how to develop your established speakers, both in IP field and entrepreneurship, will definitely help directing they are essential to develop your idea. And of course, we will have certificates, we will celebrate globally. And this program, I will put website on in the comments. So if you would like to register, you are very welcome to register. We offer a competitive price for academia because I know that the budgets there are for hours online. We offer participation in this program for $395, and as I said, we have 20 places. Plus 5 places which are already taken for people from under inclusion criterion and help women or overall people from developing nations to participate in this very important program. So that's something I would say as a summary for the program. And as I said, I will give you in the link in the comment the link so that you can also program online. And importantly, I think we have deadline. We want to run this program in fall. We have deadline till 30 of September. So also please be quick because the places go very quick. The spots are going very quick. So I think it's very important to develop such a program, which we call Global ID Program, Pre-Incubation Action Program, to create brighter future for PhDs and postdocs. The next, which I'd like to talk, because I'd like to actually maybe take now a little bit of break for taking some drink. But there is a lot of things which I'd like to today cover in this session. So we also, what I'd like to talk about, we have in Leiden a human capital agenda. That's also a very broad, I would say, program to stimulate initiatives in order to create brighter future also for PhD students and postdocs, so postgraduates. And last week we had this program we had this event in Leiden Bioscience Park. And what I really liked about this event was that this event was, first of all, in English. So a lot of people did attend this event because some meetings are in Dutch. And I have the impression that it's not inclusive, but rather exclusive. But this time, this meeting was in Dutch. Introduction was done by Thijs Riemeijn, the project leader of Human Capital Agenda. and the promotion services to attract and onboard international talent was presented by Corine van der Seilen, Leiden and Partners. And in the panel discussion, we had people from Innovation Quarter, from Janssen, so Johnson and Johnson, International Center, and EURES. Oh, in Dutch, EURES. And then there was a panel, and there was also discussion with the audience, all people which care about international talent. And I'd like to now draw something for you, because I want that the sessions are also very interactive, and I want to use also drawing as one of the interaction tools. I'd like to present a scheme which was given presented by Corine van der Seilen from International Center, specifically addressing the human capital agenda. Show it clearly on the board, yes. So how to attract and retain international talent in Leiden. So here is attraction. Local. Yeah. And we have here international. And here we have retention. So starting here, there is a Leiden Convention Bureau. There we have education campaign. That's also, activities. There we have in a way, program or agenda, which I talked all the time about now, is human capital agenda, in a way, program or initiative. We also have innovation and a welcome center on this side. Innovation and welcome center. We also have New Dutch. And we also have here LTIT. Then we have LBSP Marcom. And if you are more interested because you don't know certain organizations or initiatives, please also put it in the dive deeper. Now I'm not doing it because of the certain time restraint. So I want to cover a lot of issues today and give you a good update. And dive we can always deeper later, depending on the interest. So here we have Leiden International Center. we have, if we move to local, also newspaper supplement. And maybe related to this newspaper, I have this newspaper, so maybe I'm going to talk more again, dive deeper at the next session regarding life. Stad van ontdekkingen. En studentenstad. So that's what Corina was presenting regarding retention. We have corporate introduction days. Science pages. And days of art and science. So that's more or less the scheme which I'd like to bring, which was presented by Leiden International Center. What I very much also was a little bit missing here, and that was also my question during the panel discussion. If we want to attract international talent, including postdocs, so PhDs, postgraduates, it's very important also to remember not only how to attract them, but how to retain them. And that's something out of practicality, dealing with housing problems, which we currently have in Netherlands, and dealing with work permits. And I was very surprised that actually during the discussion, one of the panelists mentioned that actually companies have some type of struggle being granted successfully work permits for international talent, which is coming to Netherlands, and which they want to hire. So I think that was I found very important, at least to do on the to-do list, to indeed get some help, legal help for companies which are in Leiden Bioscience Park, which would like to hire international talent, including postgraduates or PhDs. And that's something which I found extremely important. That also during this program and discussion, such practical issues came out, which are also very, very important, right, to retain talent. Because if we have problems with work permits, we'll not be able to retain this talent. And the other thing which I brought, which was for me very important here, if we think about local attraction, international retention, we also have to realize that if we want to attract talent from academia, is this still visible? Yes. We need to take care of transition. So how to help academics make a smooth transition to company. And that's why I talked about this program, gaining business skills, developing your own idea. These are very important skills if you think about soft skills. And that's why also as a coach, because I did PhD, I did postdocs, I've been there, and started my own startup already for a few years. I'm running it. I can really here also as an agile coach can help personally PhDs to make smoother transition to industry. Because I already know the ecosystem, the business ecosystem. And if you don't know business ecosystem, it's very hard to actually find yourself what to do next. I think this first next step is really important. So that's something which I offer here as a one-on-one coaching. And if you're interested, please also join me or please reach me. You can find all my details on YouTube, I think in Contacts About, and you can connect through LinkedIn and or give me a phone call, and we can talk about coaching, transition coaching. So that's something which I'd like to talk here a bit. And for me, the human capital agenda has an enormous value, because we also need to realize that we are in the situation of recession. Nobody really talks loud about this, but maybe you know that regarding Dutch ecosystem, in Leiden, Johnson & Johnson, especially vaccines, are downsizing very much in Netherlands, but also in Germany, in Spain. And maybe you read it in newspaper, meaning that they are shutting down certain, some of the headquarters, meaning that a lot of talent is released, a lot of manpower has to be in a way taken care of and being helped. And of course, human capital agenda in Leiden Bioscience Park, we try to help here, but we not always know when this transition or when this downsizing is occurring. So if we know this in front, we are of course having more time to act and help, thereby help. But if we don't know it and it appears to be too late, well, this is already very difficult for us to take action, right? To find right away some solution. Even there is 215 or more than, I think already 215 organizations in Leiden Bioscience Park, startups, scale-ups, and established companies. So we could try to help here in hiring such people. So that's something about, I think, ecosystem, that you have to also realize that depending if the company is downsizing or expanding, and knowing this also helps to guide this postdocs which are looking for jobs in industry. And I think that's also something which I found very important, to study the dynamics of changes every year, what is happening with every company, every big company, and how this vision and strategy actually is really executed in real time. And because downsizing is something which you plan, you don't do it from one day to the other. So that's why it's important to talk to CEOs of such companies, and really talk to CEOs, to also life sciences recruiters, because these are also people which might help you here. And what I also found important in human capital agenda, but I think that will be officially introduced, but I will not cover it, I think, during my live sessions and my next live sessions, There's a new appointed from October director, I would say innovative director of Leiden Bioscience Park, Esther Peters. I met her already. And she's going to introduce herself in one of the events which we have here in Leiden, Life Science Cafe, I think, to the community, because that's what I also like here, that in Leiden Bioscience Park we are community, I think. Of course, stronger, weaker, but we are. And she will introduce herself, and she will replace Ida Heisma, so which already built some basis, of course, for human capital agenda program, but now this will be, I think, also replaced. So this also will undergo changes, this program. And definitely, I think it's worth to mention, because if there is a leader which is changing, things also are obviously changing. And summarizing now, we talk about growth mindset, right? In changing, in a way, the way you think to make this transition smoother. I talked about global program, right, for gaining business skills. So I will. I cannot do it now, because whatever I put in chat, it's not going to be recorded. So I have to do it after the session. So I'm going to tell you. Well, when session will be finished, I will place this link for the global pre-incubation program for scientists in life sciences to gain business skills and develop idea. And what I also would like to talk today is, I have here the election program of D66. And why I'm talking about this election program, this election program is important because, as you might have heard or not, but I think it's already known, 22nd of November, there will be a new election. Mark Rutte, president of Netherlands, decided actually to quit politics completely. So we're going to elect a new leader. We're going to elect new government. And of course, there are already some coalitions preforming to continue. And I wanted to talk about the program because I told you that I'm also a member of D66, one of the parties, I would say one of the major parties in Netherlands. We have Professor Robert Dijkgraaf, which is Minister of Science, Culture and Education in Netherlands, which is representing D66, also Sigrid Kaag. So we have important ministers representing D66, and I think that's very good, because we already, as a party, have experience in leading the country in developing good programs which are serving society, and especially serving all the international STUA, so people of minorities, or people which come from developing nations. So I think this, in that perspective, D66 is really taking care of people which were discriminated, which have unequal chances for education. And I think that's why also it's important to create every time, also as a international D66 member or international mindset, a better program to create by contributing to this program, create also at a legacy level brighter future for PhD students and postdocs. And now I'd like to actually talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to remove this. Because I also would like to, I will talk about this program. This program is available in Dutch. But I will also give you some feedback and some important points and summary actually from this program, directly not translating everything, because this program has 231 pages. But I'm going to give you links so you can also, use Google Translator and also find information which you really want. Because I think it's important to vote. It's important to go for election and choose the party. For me, it's was very and always going to be important, a party which is major focuses on education. That's something which I always strongly believe, that we need always develop education in order exactly to cover many issues like unequal chances, discrimination. But I'm going to talk a little bit about this, right? Because I told you that I'm going to now give you some summary of important points covered in this program, in this election program presented by D66. And, our future is education, right? We need to continue to educate people. We need to give equal chances. We need to solve many problems, including discrimination, and so on and so on. And of course, cover all different, I would say, educational groups, target groups, right? Not only PhDs, postdocs, but also MBO. So in Holland, you actually a lot of attention has been focused on MBOs, HBOs, MVOs. Not so much yet postgraduates or postdocs. And PhD students. So that's where I step in as a D66 to help to improve this program. And there are possibilities you can do it. And tomorrow I have D66 meetings regarding what else we can improve in the election program. So this is still open space for improvement. This already has been taken care of. These are usually, this represents, for people which are not familiar with Dutch education, this represents university, usually students at university. This is higher education, but not university yet, so it's some intermediate. That system is very different, for example, compared to that system in education system in Holland. And these are usually craftsmen. I would say craftsmanship. Type of students. So the students which have certain, you could think about plumber, because in Holland you have to have diploma for everything you do. And that's what also has been discussed during the 66 Congress, National Congress, that here you need to have diploma in this country for everything. So if you want to be plumber, you have to also get, in that case, maybe MBO. So that's a little bit, I would say, even now to tell you about the program, I'm going to also, there's been always in the program also focus on children education. I'm going to not talk about this because I think that's not really relevant for age, right? Related for age target groups. There has been also a lot of good changes introduced already to education for children, but I'm going more here keep focusing on this on these groups. So let's start. If we think about generally education model, D66 create educational system which is not anymore as they call ladder opportunities. So it's like a fan with all different type of training. So that's something which is important in creating in the vision of this education. There's more personal budget offered for everybody. And what I also would like to bring here attention, there is not enough teachers in Netherlands. So if you love children, and I didn't bring it yet, but if you love children for these groups, there is possibility of becoming a teacher because there is not enough teachers. So I think that's something could be some other potential option as a career development. And definitely there's also increase in salary, permanent contracts, development as a teacher in curriculum, which also can be very maybe very attractive for you guys if you think about, well, maybe I like teaching, maybe I would like to become a teacher. So that's something which I like to say because that contributes already to the scheme of other potential options. Then we move, as I told you, I'm not going to, the first part of the program here is about changes which will be introduced for children from 1 till 12, but I'm going to skip it. You can, if you want, you can always, especially if you are PhD students or postdoc and already have small children, maybe you would like benefits because there's a lot of benefits for parents offered here. So then we move to what I very much liked is that in all education system there will be also more focus put on learning digital skills. And this is important because digital skills not always has been implemented, although we already use online platforms, right? I think it's important to focus on it. Also programming skills and critical thinking about privacy and ethics, because I think it's not only privacy and ethics, but also using online platforms, using social media. I think that's really important to know. And for regarding mobile telephones or devices, smartwatches on tablets, this will be not allowed to have it in the class, but I think this should be introduced also not in all different school level systems to avoid indeed distraction and efficiency of learning. So that's something which is here very crucial. Then the program is, I told you I have to scroll a lot because there is quite substantial numbers of, I think, 27 pages on education. But what I also liked that there will be National Academy for Teachers, where training for teachers will be directly under Ministry of Education, Culture and Science. So that's really important that such a national academy will be formed. Then there will be, of course, more possibilities. I told you about if you would like to think about teaching career into leadership roles or coordinating roles, which I think also according to with also adjustments of the salary, because indeed in academia we and I think that's an academic paradox. Then what also I really like is neurodivergent. And this, of course, not only applies to children, right? To children which are diagnosed with ADHD or autism, and adjust inclusive, but also for postdocs, for PhD students, right? I mean, being diagnosed doesn't mean that this only is associated with early age, but also when you're adult, you still are autistic or you have ADHD. And I think creating sub-programs for neurodivergent graduate, undergraduate or postgraduate students is very important. So to make it really inclusive. In Dutch, maybe that's also something nice to learn, is inclusive. So this is important, that our education system becomes inclusive. There is also a lot of not only children but students. There's also has a lot of study places there. So to make it again more and more adjustable, flexible to the demand, and there is a big demand for that. In terms of energy transition, but also energy saving, I think we also have to take care of renovations of schools, universities. Then I go further. Regarding students, it's important to also realize that there will be a change offered by D66 in eligibility criteria for bachelor programs, pre-masters, master trainings. So all the students. And what I really liked is that in this program is niet één laatste. Kans. So missed chance is not the last. To sometimes non-Dutch origin, or want to maybe study more than one direction and have more possibilities and more chances to meet the requirements and pass all the selection criteria. So that's very important. There is also, as I said, a lot of empowerment related to NPOs to help them, especially in internships, postdocs, which wants to make transition to industry. And internships also play here important role in transition. And this internship should be paid. So that's something which is important in D66. Then regarding supporting financing studies, basic, I think that's for students more, not PhD students, basic support, financial support is brought back, not which should not depend on the income of your parents. So I think that that's what I found very important for students. as a financial support. Then internship, so any type of discrimination, also teachers in schools will get salary increase, which is very important. There's nothing said about teachers in academia. I think that's what would be my missing point here. Then we have possibilities of working as a volunteer, but also starting your own company. I already told you about this. Then please, or you would like to know more, please go to there. I talk about the program. And of course, everybody has opportunity. I also was for the best students or for best students. When I was studying biotechnology at the University of Wrocław, I got a chance to go for internship, for actually exchange program, but that looked actually in practice as an internship, as a project, as a scientist, and later receive PhD degree and continue my career. The other thing is, we didn't talk about this, but there's a lot of students, and that's also what we discussed at Human Capital, depression. But even on the first place, it might be burnout. So a lot of mental health issues overall. And I think this is important at for children, for students, undergraduate, graduates, to have access to psychologists, to professional. What I can share from my actually age when I was, I think, in Poland, in my basic school, we had actually psychologists in school available for us, and I found this really great. So for any problems, any family-related problems, or psychological, there was psychologists there. So I hope this can be also changed and brought also at university. It's not just children. As I said, this doesn't only apply to children. There's mental health problems, 50+. So it's really global, I would say, common problem. Then what I also like that if there is majority of the class which has non-Dutch origin, so they have other nationality, the teaching language is English. And that's what I found very inclusive. But I'd like to actually that, especially when we think about science, we bring biology subjects like that. I wish that, because globalization is ongoing movement, and there's a lot of people traveling, living in other countries, and I think English could be chosen as a one study language, right? Then we can have much easier access also when we think about African or countries in Africa, to provide this language as a main study language. And then these people studying in this language in English can have much higher opportunity when they plan their future and they want to come and arrive to Europe and work here. So that's something about a program. Going through the program, there are also investments which want to be introduced by Ministry of Culture, Science and Education, and investment in research and innovation. There will be a fund which is made of 5 billion for investments are structural. And also, I hope that what is also mentioned here, subsidy system. So subsidies will be also so grant application system will be a way more adaptable compared to the previous. Then open science, I already talked about this. Access to articles for free. I think that's very important to increase access and to have a then there is also a big I would say pillar about the culture and art to support, but I'm going to come back, and I talked already about this during my previous live sessions about developing also program to fight any type of racism, sexism, discrimination, any type of, in a way, different types of discrimination you could imagine. And that's why there will be 1st July. I can even put it here. There will be introduced Keti Koti. It's with me. It's a day which want to be created as a national sort of celebrating day to remind everybody about racism, about discrimination. I've heard about already global change or actually national class. There used to be which is painted in black, zwarte Piet, so black Piet. And that Piet always has been representing slavery, Indian deep down, if we look into the history of Dutch slavery. And I think a few years ago, it is not anymore allowed, even for kids or for people which, never, international people, never black themselves can be a fun, but prohibited. So a little bit maybe important for you to understand for those which come to Netherlands. And that's also what has been also mentioned here in the program. Then I talk about equal chances, but also equal chances between women and men. Then in terms of salary, and that's something which still has to be taken care of, and that's what I also would like to bring here. So the glass ceiling, and for companies, D66, of course, but also other parties want to introduce more equality between women and men, at least at the board, where 1/3 of women, around 30%, should also be in the board of companies. But it's also, I presented this about reports, and just please come to my previous vlogs, or maybe I will even bring it as a link. So if you would like to come back to it and understand a little bit more or know more. So that's about the equal chances. And that's something I already mentioned, neurodivergent, but handicapped physically, to give them more opportunities at the job market, also in industry. And regarding, and I know that sometimes this is very difficult to talk about, because that can concern many different age groups. Sexual harassment. There will be Centrum Sexual. And I know that's very vulnerable issue to talk about. formed to help victims. It's a first help, actually. So that's very important that this has been taken along with all different types of discrimination. Let me see. Also, discrimination which may happen in recruitment companies. Don't be afraid if there are some procedures which are discriminating to inform also with selection or internships, right? That's what we already talked about. And what I also like in any case, we live, of course, in very dynamic system, but also in terms of families, there's a way, there is a percentage of, when parents get divorced and they split, and what D66 advised, no matter how old is your child, it's important to be responsible and prepare good parent, right? That's important here. About the integration, I think it's important if you think about building your future, not only career but private life in Netherlands. I think it's something which I always recommend learning Dutch. No matter what, it will can also put yourself to stand out from competition, which are also other applicants. Especially for your dream job. For example, in industry, that's highly recommended. And do we go further? I think this is something which I'd like to share from the program. And I'll put it here so that you can see what I was talking about. And now I'd like to actually summarize what I've been talking about and bring also, especially in the election program, something which I already told you during our first session. It's D66 election program. And I told you on one of the first live sessions that there's a lot of things which need to be changed, especially to create brighter future. For PhD students and postdocs. And it's some things which I'd like to talk about is, of course, naming the issues. And I already told you about neurodivergent programs, right? Education programs or ADHD. But in generally, what I'd like to opt for is the better mentorship programs. There is insufficient mentorship in academia. So mentorship programs, especially when we think about transition, and that only of all PhDs, 0.5% will become professors. So in this mentorship, I would like to introduce entrepreneurship subject or program, so that will help get entrepreneurial skills while stepping from academia to industry. The other thing, I told you a little bit about toxic bullying environment. So woke culture in academia, a lot of bullying, but also talk about leadership. I think this leadership has to be also taken care particularly into account. So leadership. Not every great scientist will be great leader or great mentor, and there have to be developed certain psychometric tests for academic scientist leaders before they set up a research group. So at tenure track level. So that's something which I'd like to expand already on discrimination, bullying, work culture, so toxic at academia. The other thing which I would like to bring here is since D66 is pro-European party, we need to also think about equal chances, more international students which come from rich but also from very poor countries. So I think we have to also create equal chances for this students as a pro-European country, and think about also development within EU, right, as a pro-European country. And I'd like actually that there are no borders for internationalization, and more options are in a way considered, especially if we think about international students. And that's not only equal chances, but also housing. And so this package, which I talk about how to attract international and work permits. So that's something which I'd like to bring here. And of course, we need to also standardize, if we think about mentorship, but we also have to standardize work ethics in science. And education. I think this is important to follow certain guidelines. So actually we can cope with all this discrimination, especially discrimination issues. And of course, there would be probably more things which I would like to discuss more in detail, but I thought maybe it would be good to also hear from you. Definitely, we have to consider that we don't have enough teachers, so hopefully some percentage of postdocs maybe would like to develop themselves as a teacher. And we need to always remember that we have to create a model where education is sustainable, where every chance is given to every talent, where every unique talent is not just noticed, not just discovered, but is supported in stepwise manner. So that's something which I strongly believe. And I think summarizing this session, indeed, offering global what I can offer, right? It's not only what the government or D66 offers and how I can contribute by bringing motions and make this program even more representatives of needs of PhD students and postdocs. Is also important that I develop such programs, global programs, to gain business skills, but also coaching in transition, right? Being a PhD, actually, the person which have done PhD training or actually was trained as a PhD student, I think help the most, because I simply I think, shortly speaking, being there, I carry the same experience in and outs. So I'm practitioner. I think that's something which. Sorry that I got a little bit tired, but I think that's what I was missing, this word. I'm the practitioner. I'm not an actor which pretends, right? But I'm the practitioner. And contributing to election program, I think it's also something which is a big part on my list, how I can change it as a D66 member and make the program even better in terms of education. As I said, education is something which is the most important and should be considered by every political party as the first pillar to invest. So that's what I'd like today talk about. I put all the links which I mentioned after ending the session. I wonder if you have some questions. Please let me know. And I will also, I know that if you look at the different days which I already has been testing, which is the most, maybe workable for people, that people can join and more be having this time, this live session also as a good quality time, right? Or special quality time for career development, for discussing the transition, direct interactions, a discussion, right? Time efficient, because I think there's never, as I said, there's insufficient mentorship. So I think these sessions also are made to give you guys this time to talk about this and to bring these issues, to name them, to see the potential solutions and to bring it to them from different perspectives, not only as a startup, not only as a coach, not only as a PhD, as a collaborator, but also, and I said as a coach, but also as a person which is start to be actively active in politics, a person which knows the business ecosystem, or spent many already some years here. I think seven years. So yeah, that's something which I think is very, very valid to have all these different perspectives and bring to you these different perspectives. I think that makes it even more useful, because that's I think what in the end it comes down to. It I want to make it more useful. So thanks. I think I'd like to give you warm greetings. Thanks for listening. I will show once more what I put on the board, and I hope it's readable. I promise actually to improve, and sometimes I pay attention more to writing style, but you have to a little bit, forgive me, because I used to have biology teacher which was making 3 minutes tests, so to avoid that anybody's cheating. And unfortunately, my writing character was really getting worse and worse, unreadable, and I'm working on it. But this type of sessions also give me a platform, give me space to also make improvements, because of course this only makes sense whatever is on the whiteboard if it's readable. So I hope it's readable, but I promise that I will work on it. And maybe I'll switch to capital letters, because then things are maybe even more readable. So that's for today. I wish you a great evening. Stay tuned in for next sessions. And as I said, there will be more and more updates, because we are coming into a time that there is more job fairs organized also for PhDs, postdocs. There will be BCF events, which I'm going to talk about, which is also the biggest national events for jobs in biotech. So there will be a lot of events, and I think that also what I'm going to cover in the next coming sessions. and discuss further potential options and potential and updates. Of course, global, because today I talk a lot about local right updates, human capital agenda happening like the Bioscience Park, election program, so D66, so Dutch updates. But I also will switch also to updates not only which are happening within Netherlands, but also globally. And I think that's what I like to also keep it this way, to bring you global updates for creating a brighter future for PhD students and postdocs. So thanks a lot for listening, and see you next time. Bye.